Hello, welcome to Art Bytes from the Marianna Kistler Beach Museum of Art. My name is Kim Richards, and I'm an education assistant at the museum. And today I'd like to share with you an oil painting entitled Kansas Gateposts by the Kansas-born artist Shirley Smith. But first, let's learn a little bit about Shirley Smith. She was born in 1929 and grew up in Whitewater, Kansas, where her father was the undertaker, and she often helped with the family business. She was crowned Miss Butler County in high school and left to go to Manhattan, Kansas in 1947 to attend Kansas State College, which is now Kansas State University. While at the university, she studied theater and radio. She broadcast on the university radio station KSDB, and she performed in several university productions. Also named Miss Manhattan while she attended K-State. When she graduated, she moved to Kansas City and worked at KCMO radio station and began modeling for Helzberg Jewelry. And their print ads were in the Kansas City Star. Less than a year after being in Kansas City, she moved to New York City and signed with a modeling agency right away and began taking theater or acting lessons. From 1952 to the early 60s, she modeled for the successful Maidenform Bra print ads. She acted on Broadway plays. She toured with touring companies. She also performed in film with commercials and TV shows and movies as well. Early 60s, though, she wanted to change. She was struggling with losing some hearing in one ear, and it was making it hard to hear her cues on stage. And when practicing off stage, she would often draw to pass the time and was discovering she really liked this. So she began taking private drawing lessons, and then attended for 4 summers the Provincetown Workshop, where she was influenced by Franz Klein, William de Kooning, and Jackson Pollock. She began showing her art also at that time in group shows. And until the early 80s, she was working with in painting abstracts. She did found art or found object collage, and then also some lyrical abstraction work, which we'll talk about in a minute. In the 80s, though, she kind of shifted her work to some more landscapes and figurative work, all inspired by Kansas. She went there in the summers, first staying with her brother, and then staying in this trailer that you can see in the photo there. And then finally, she had a studio in a barn. But she would spend some time in Kansas in the summers being inspired and gathering inspiration and drawing. And then would go back to her studios in New York to complete her work. Let's back up just a little bit and learn about this lyrical abstract genre that she participated in. This would be an example of that from our collection called Soft Landing. And she kind of discovered it out of experimentation. She was moving studios and found an old piece of muslin, unbleached muslin, that an artist friend had left behind, and it was dirty and dusty, so she washed it. And when she pulled it out of the washing machine, it had all these great crinkles that reminded her of what sheets look like when they dried on the clothesline in the winter, where they froze, when they had these ridges and crinkles. So she laid the muslin down, and then using Krylon spray paint out of a can, she would hold the can above the image and spray, or along the side, and let those paint particles fall. And as they fell, they landed on that wet muslin and created this effect. But it didn't always, not all the paint landed on, the paint didn't land on all of the muslin. So when she stretches it out, there's these white marks as well. And that's the muslin, the natural muslin showing through. And she used that to help with creating her effect. Larry Aldridge, who was a collector around 1968, kind of dubbed her work as part of this lyrical abstraction movement, which is a movement that where artists were experimenting and their work was very free and it created a lot of emotion, and he felt like her work fit in there very well. Some of the other work that she did was this collage work that you can see here in another piece from our collection with an unknown title. And it is um, a great example of her collage and how she would place compositions in her work. And you can see the dot and the line at the front down here, and how they're just kind of placed in that foreground, uh, kind of like staging in a play. She said that composing a piece was a lot like blocking a play, where you wanted to have a very interesting visual. And so I think that you can see some of these things reflected in Kansas Gate Posts here. You can see some hints of this lyrical abstraction, and you can see some placement of items very purposefully. But there's one other piece I'd like to tie into Kansas Gate Posts, and that is um, her switch to landscape painting. She visited a museum and saw some landscape paintings by the artist Frederick Church. And when she left, this is what she said: "When I left the museum that evening, this sky was especially beautiful. And taking it all in, I knew this is where and what I wanted to paint. With endless skies, flat, low horizons, rich black earth, and memories from childhood, how can I fail to be inspired?" So, taking the collage, the lyrical abstraction, and that inspiration of the Kansas skies all into account, I think you can see how Kansas Gate Posts came to be. We see this wonderful texture and the ridges that she captures in the sky and in the plowed field and even in the grass. Only this time, she's not using wet muslin and spray paint. She's using a brush and canvas, and also using the whites of the canvas as part of the coloring here. And you can see how she places these gate posts down in front and center, making them important as part of the artwork. And another thing that placing these posts so very carefully does is it allows her to create that perspective. Your eye roams clear to the back to this horizon line, where you can see this expansive sky and this never ending land. This is the landscape we see in Kansas. One other thing I like to think about when looking at this piece is, what time of the year is it painted in, and what time of the day? So maybe you want to take a few moments to decide for yourself. And as you're looking at it, what are the things that you're picking up on that are helping you to decide that season and that year, time of day? Thank you for joining me for Art Bytes and letting me share Shirley Smith's Kansas Gate Posts with you.